Yo guys, today I am gonna go through, we're starting a new series, and that series is gonna be back to basics. I get asked a few times so far, I mentioned this about my programming or do I write programs or any of that stuff. And I definitely, I think that I fall more on the 75% unstructured, 25% structured. And I don't know if I've explained that really good to you guys yet, and I think that you deserve that for sure. And the big part of that is I don't have a structure because I'm not training for a specific goal. I am a 40-year-old male who is a single father. I raise a son on my own. He's been with me since the beginning, man. I'm starting to get a little bit vulnerable, tell you guys a little bit more about me. But he's been with me since the day he was born. He came home from the hospital with me, and it's been like that ever since. So I understand the time. I've got laundry to do, I've got dishes to do, I've got lunches to make, I've got dinner to make, all those kinds of things, and time is a big thing for me. So that's why I like complexes, that's why I like lifts like that, that's why I like flows. You know, I stated in another video that I couldn't really say what was the difference between the two. And a good friend of mine who's becoming a good friend of mine, mental focus, I'm sorry, with a Z. Check him out on Instagram and YouTube and all that. But really good dude, and just one of the people you can tell just has a really good heart. And he put it well. The complex is more of multiple grinds in a row, or multiple, leave it at that, multiple grinds in a row, grinding type lifts. And I like them just as much as well. Back to what I was pointing this video, which is the series is gonna be back to basics. And it's gonna be showing you guys that stuff that I do when I'm not trying to stay creative and trying to keep my brain going. I still do stuff to gain strength and heavier stuff. And I figured, well, thought about it, what actually triggers that for me? What is the signal for me that happens? And it's usually when I move up to a new weight in double bells, I've noticed. And the double 28s over here are gonna become a new heavy for me. And it is a new heavy for me. And I really do focus on a lot more complex, and I get a lot back to basics again. So I'm gonna, in this video, I'm gonna cut it off there, but I'm gonna, since the movements are a little bit shorter in duration and time, I'm gonna try to do something a little bit differently where I give a little bit of a synopsis of what it is that I'm doing and why. Since there's so much shorter time in the voiceover, I found out that I seem very rushed, and I feel like I've got to get it all out, and the movement might be 1 minute and 31 seconds long, and it's like I gotta get this out really quick, plus keep it short. So I'm gonna end that right now at this point, and the next time you see me, I'm gonna be telling you about the first movement I'm doing. So the first thing that I'm doing here is a single 24 kilo full snatch. Not something I would usually do. That would be, for a full snatch, that would be considered heavy for me. I'm using it as this is definitely a feel thing of where I know that I can do this without getting hurt, but I also know that I'm gonna have a poor technique, a much poorer technique. I do it to kind of expose myself. Obviously, I'm not telling you what to do or how to do it, I'm telling you what works for me. I'm also telling you that it exposes a lot. I would highly, I've said this to you guys before, whether you plan on posting it or not, I would highly recommend you do video yourself. It can really show you a lot where you think that you're just doing perfect and everything looks beautiful. I'm picturing a meme in my head, what I think I look like when I'm dancing, what I actually look like. It's kind of something like that, and it's very telling and very exposing. So that is the reason why I'm doing these. I'm doing them mainly to see what my technique looks like. One of the things I'm noticing, especially with heavier weights, is my grip strength. you typically you would want to drop the bell down into the fingers. I like to catch, and I like to throw this over and kind of create like a little bit of a lock. When I try to do that with heavier weights, I think a lot of it has to do with confidence, and I get caught on these calluses that are here. So mainly this one here, you can see, I get caught on that one. I've done a really, really, really good job of taking care of my hands and doing the right thing. I used to let it get really, really out of control, and I've learned the value of you got to get rid of these bad boys because you need everything to flow properly in there, and a heavier weight will definitely expose that. So for the next movement that I did in the circuit tonight was a double 28 front squat. What was so darn awesome about this and what I liked so much is I can remember when I started doing double 20s and they felt heavy, and I really, it was 6 to 7 reps, and it was like, man, you're doing great. Like, this is awesome. You get up to 6 or 7. Now I don't know how many I could do. I just use heavier weight. Then came double 24s, and they were heavy, and it was like, man, I can get 5 out at a time. And then before you know it, I got up to 12, and then I started offsetting the weights with like 32 or 28 and 24 and stuff like that. And now that I'm at a double 28, which I've done heavier before, but I've never had it balanced like this. I always felt that there was, oh, well, I wasn't able to do this many because of this or that, or because it's offset or something like that. It wasn't strict. And doing these double 28s, I'm quite happy with myself so far, and I know the process, and I trust the process of where I'm at. And before you know it, I'll be, doing them, and the reps will be at around 12, and I'll do it for 5 rounds in the circuit. So it's a step up, it's a progression, and I really, really, really want to remind you that no matter where you are at, I can remember doing goblet squats with a 16 and saying, man, I'm really going to pay for that tomorrow, and just how, the time goes by and how you just keep plugging away at it. And that is the beautiful part. I believe my bias towards it with kettlebells is you have very little reason to not be able to do it. You obviously can see I work out in, it looks like a New York studio apartment. I do it, at home. I have no reason for not being able to make it there, I also have, even with quite a few bells, they don't take up a lot of space. And that really, really is the beauty of it. So just want to remind you guys, I say this all the time, honor where you're at, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So just keep plugging away at it. And I promise you, in just a matter of months, you're going to see some major, major results. Okay, and so for the last movement in the circuit, and this went on for 5 rounds, by the way, but for the last movement of the circuit, it was a hand-to-hand swing. You can't get, other than a double-handed swing, you can't get more basic than that, but the basics really, really do work. They really do. And like I said before, I remember, if I was going to do 50 reps of hand-to-hand swings, it was going to be a 16, and then it moved up to a 20, and now it's up to a 24, where that's what and each time it's you'll remember, wow, this feels like it did before. For me, another part of it is I've spent over 20 years turning wrenches. My hands they're definitely fatigued, and working with your hands your whole life is definitely the most challenging part for me. With this, do not hit that kitty. Do not bump against that. Do not do it. Come here. Come here. This is the Minji cat. If any of you guys watch South Park, you know why she's called the Minge. But this is the Minji cat. She's an old girl. She's 14 years old now. That's like 12 million in kitty cat years, isn't it? Yes, it is. She's still a little love bug, she is, though. Where was I? So 24 kilo hand swings. And it's, I'm leveling up right now is what I'm doing, because that isn't something I would do for 50 swings. I just wouldn't do it. So yeah, back to basics, and these are all things that really, really work. I know a lot of times I do a lot of flows. You guys see stuff like that. I'm always trying to be as creative as possible. But the best part about being as creative as possible is when that almost starts to get boring, you have the basics to fall back on, So if all you know are the basics, then the only thing you have to fall back on is the basics. So the more you learn with it, the more you have to switch it up and change it. And guess what? Whether you would say that it's effective, ineffective, whatever, I'm definitely not going to gain the most muscle mass with this. I'm not going to gain the most size, and probably not the same strength either. But what I am doing is I'm being consistent, and consistency is the name of the game with this. If you want to see results in any way, that highly, highly transfer over to life, if you ask me. It's funny, I was carrying a jump box today, and if you know what a jump box is, they're fairly heavy, and it's an awkward thing to carry because it's out here like this. And I immediately picked the jump box up because it had a handle on it. I put it in front of me, I kicked it out, I cleaned it up, and then I put it onto my shoulder. And definitely a unique way to carry a jump box. But since I had that skill level to do that with it, it was probably about the weight of a 16 kilo bell. So actually maybe a 12 kilo bell. Doesn't matter how much it weighs. The point is that it's there for you, and you can use it how you wish. And a lot of it does transfer over to life. Not going to say that there's too many things out there. Maybe a thing of kitty litter or something. You could snatch a thing of kitty litter, I bet. Right, kitty cat? So the next thing we're going to get into is the EMOM, and this one was a complete and total ass whooper. So stick around for that.